Schismatrix is a 1985 novel by Bruce Sterling. It is actually the only novel in the Shaper Mechanist universe, though Schismatrix Plus, which is typically how you find it today, actually has all the short stories from the universe included with it. This is the story of Abelard Lindsay, who starts out as a young rebel on the old lunar colony against the old generation, essentially. His girlfriend is Fridge, and his uncle died from a modification in moths. It's gruesome. He is then exiled, and the story then follows several relationships, political machinations, and gets into aliens and transhumanism, hitting the cyberpunk notes that Norman Spinrad points out in his Neuromantic Cyberpunks essay. It includes a sovereign nation that lives in Soviet space ship. It has a population of 11. It's really just a gang in some sense, but it also kind of explores, that interesting idea of what government would be like in space. It deals with a fascist guy out to get Lindsay as well. It deals with artificial women and weird things. It deals with shapers that are genetically modified and are beautiful because of eugenics, but prone to sickness in normal human environments. It evokes terraforming, human psychology, but weird physical mutations, theater and geishas. It has a lot in it, and it feels very weird. It has a somewhat detached mood that lacks the exposition of Gibson. It feels kind of like Lords of Falsbane by Donaldson, almost in, kind of a window pane that we get into the world, but not, terribly engaging. Often the factions and lingo made me lost. The technical scientific terms I found, enough raised to follow, but the political ones really got me. And it's impressive how little of Earth there is actually in this book, even though it's almost all of the rest is in the solar system. We have highly humanistic conservative factions, partisan groups apparent to be aliens, militarism like the Cold War, a group that practices Zen to control human emotions, something like globalists but on a galactic scale, and those firmly on the post-human track of things. It's definitely big idea sci-fi with some cyberpunk aesthetic, and at the time I'd say it's probably firmly cyberpunk as well, but just generally not what we think of these days. Or beyond that, it is, again, cyberpunk has a neuromantic theme, but transhumanism is big, and so is the hard sci-fi elements. The start on space habitats with various gravities is interesting, and it just goes very many places from there. And it takes place over a long period of time as well, I should say. The characters, I kind of think, are kind of weak. Kitsune and Nora and Alexandrina are okay. The rest mostly seem to show up and leave little impact except when they're on the page. That made it hard to stay really attached to, so I wasn't super engrossed, wasn't super entertained, but it definitely has a lot of stuff going on. So if you like big ID sci-fi and you want to read something that was pretty seminal at the time, actually, then I think this one would be good for you. But definitely has a point where there are a few pages would be really gripping, and then a few really wouldn't be afterwards. So anyways, I'm glad I read it though. It's a big one. It's one that's important to read. Anyways, I'll catch you next time.